know it's hot out here, man. It is hot today.
You know it's hot out.
Yeah, that's why I said it, man. It is hot out here.
Welcome back to This, That, and the Trouble, where we take a topic, tell our stories, and then try to figure out what the hell we learned from them.
Sometimes we learn something.
And sometimes we just realize we should have trusted our instincts a lot sooner.
Absolutely right, girl. Sometimes there's one random moment that changes the entire direction of your life.
Which is exactly what we're talking about today. Today's topic is the thing that changed everything.
And trust me, neither one of us saw these stories coming.
This, that, and the trouble, all the parts we tried to hide. Every wrong turn, every rumble, put a little truth in our stride. No perfect script, just crooked light, shining on the darkest nights. 'Cause there's always more to the story, and we're setting the record right.
Welcome back, troublemakers. I'm JoJo.
And I'm Shiri.
And this is This, That, and the Trouble, which apparently I kept trying to change to This, That, and the Truth in our notes. But hey, I kind of like it. I don't know. What do you think?
Right. I love it because that's what we do. We give real spill here and we give the truth.
That's right. That's right. But no matter what we're going to call it, this is where there's always more to the story, and it's time to set the record straight. Before we jump into today's topic, though, we wanted to give everyone a quick update. Many of you know that we've talked about the Valiza dopamine patches in previous episodes. You guys, after months of trying to resolve some very basic customer service issues, we've made the decision to stop promoting the company. Now, we're not going to get into all the details today because that's a story for another day. And let me tell you, it is actually a hilarious story. But let's just say that the customer service experience didn't exactly match what was being advertised.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, girl. And if you've been using the patches and you've been looking for an alternative, you can find the Be Kind patches at many local drugstores, and they're the exact same type of product.
Yeah, literally exactly the same. So, also, before we get started, I do want to give a quick content warning. Shiri's story involves sexual harassment and a restraining order. My story includes quite an array of heavy topics, such as sexual assault, rape, family betrayal, stillbirth, and going no contact with a family member. Now, we don't get into real graphic details, but we also don't want anyone to feel blindsided. So if this isn't the episode for you today, we completely understand. Take care of yourself and come back another time if you need to.
Yes, absolutely. And if you guys do stick around, just know that we're sharing these stories for the same reason that we always do. We share them because sometimes the things that change us are most of the things that we really don't talk about enough.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we have a lot to talk about today, so I think we should just get right into it.
Yes. I agree. And I know you guys can probably hear that I am not my typical animated self, but I mean, you'll understand why, because this is just a lot, y'all. But today's topic is the thing that changed everything. And we've all had those moments. You know, it could have been a conversation, a decision, even a chance encounter, or even a phone call.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing happens and suddenly your life is heading in a completely different direction than it was before. And sometimes you don't even realize what happened until years later.
Yeah, you're right. My story starts with a trip to the grocery store.
That sounds innocent enough.
Yeah, girl, you would think.
All right, well, I need to know the full story now, so please, let's hear it.
Let's go.
Yes, so I feel like actually all the stories that we've talked about all started with me being in my 20s. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like for everyone else, the 20s were just a very transformative decade where you can either learn a lot or learn nothing. But if you're doing it right, then you're doing a little bit of both, a lot and nothing simultaneously.
Right.
But like I was saying, I want to talk about something that a lot of us have had to navigate. And it's really what happens when someone just cannot handle the word no. This, again, like I said, happened in my early 20s. Like I've told y'all, I'm an Atlanta native. I'm a Georgia peach. I'm an Atlanta girly. And after graduating from college, of course, I stayed here, but moved back to Atlanta. And, my early 20s were just a really fun time aesthetically, right? So I bought my first car. It was like a little 2-seater Mercedes convertible. It was like this metallic,
nice.
like light colored baby blue. I think they called it diamond silver. And so I would just zoom around Atlanta and on the freeways and everything and just letting my hair blow in the wind. I mean, it was just a very fun life. And so I've always kind of been a guy's girl where I've had a lot of guy friends because, at a very young age, my mom normalized having friendships with males. And it didn't mean that you had to be romantically involved or you guys had to have crushes on each other or anything like that. So I just always had a lot of guy friends. So I remember going to a popular restaurant here in Atlanta, Taco Mac. Well, I don't think they have them anymore. So RIP Taco Mac. You would think that Taco Mac would sell like tacos, Mexican food, all that. That is not why you go to Taco Mac. You go to Taco Mac for the wings and the beer. So that's my, favorite food. I'm an Atlanta girly, so we eat our wings. And so I remember meeting up with one of my good guy friends and we met up for wings and beer. And I was just telling him about, my dating woes or, none of these guys are serious out here. And I've just been running into knuckleheads. And he said, well, Shiri, your problem is that you're too loud. And I'm like, too loud? What do you mean? I'm like, I'm not, some kind of like pompous individual. I don't do like ostentatious type stuff. He was like, no, sis, that's not what I mean. I don't mean loud as in like literally loud. You're just too loud in a way of you may be intimidating men. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, look at you. And I'm like looking down at myself. I'm like, okay, what? He's like, you're pulling up here in this nice car. You got your Louis bag on. I'm like, okay, well, I've been carrying a Louis bag since I was 2. But, you got your Louis bag on, you've got these your hair is freshly done. You're wearing nice clothes, you don't seem like the approachable type. And I said, well, this sounds like a them problem, not a me problem. Because I'm not
say that.
Yeah. I'm not doing it for the glimmer and the lights. I'm doing it because I like me. And, at this point I'm working, I'm in my career and I'm working my job and everything. So I'm like, of course it's before mommyhood. So all of my income is disposable. And I'm like, I'm living my life. And then I think I was going through the remnants of as I should. And I was going through kind of like the remnants of a bad breakup. So, I think we talked about this before. What does every woman do? At least a narrative a lot of times for every Black woman that's going through a breakup, you just go and get another degree. So I was in grad school. I'm like, just working full time, grad school full time. I'm like, I'm going to do me. Whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. Damn it. Because I'm working hard to, better myself and I should be able to enjoy my life as I see fit. But anyway, back to my friend, he's like, you need to quiet it down a little bit. And then maybe that'll encourage men to approach you more. And I'm like, well, I don't think I've ever had issues with men approaching me, but I kind of get what you're saying. So I'm just going to try it as a social experiment. Okay.
Future JoJo here. We temporarily lost the internet while recording. I'd like to blame T-Mobile, but the investigation determined it was actually our digital Chihuahua upload department. A dispute over a French fry escalated into a workplace altercation. Productivity suffered, HR is involved. Anyway, back to the show.
Okay, so I go into the grocery store, just, regular day, going in my 20s. So, I'm not buying anything, but probably margarita mix and some chip dip or something. But go into the grocery store, get a buggy or whatever. And going through the aisles, grabbing what I need to grab. And I see a young man in there. He's like tall, slender built. I'm like, okay, hello. And, he's getting whatever he needs at the grocery store. I'm getting whatever I need at the Walmart. And so it's time to check out. And he is in the same checkout lane with me. And of course, because there's only ever like 2 or 3 lanes open in the Walmart. And and after that, he's like walking to, we're walking at the same time. I think like we engage in some type of conversation while we're checking out, and then we walk out, and we end up exchanging phone numbers. And so I don't even know. We don't have to give him a name because I'll probably forget and then use his name. So we exchange phone numbers. He calls me that evening. At this point, I'm in graduate school. That's not just a random tidbit I'm giving you. I'm saying that for a reason.
Okay.
And so we talk on the phone probably about 45 minutes that evening. And then I'm like, you know what? I have to go. I got some schoolwork to do, whatever. So he's like, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, this seems like promising. Maybe this will be somebody that I can, talk to. During that phone conversation, I told him what I did, what line of work I was in. I asked him what he did. And he said, oh, well, I work for the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so he's like, yeah, like when you watch a TV show to catch a predator, well, I do that type of stuff. So I guess he was saying he was like in cybersecurity or some kind of tech something. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, well, that's pretty impressive that they hire you like at this age. Because I think I was maybe 23. Maybe he was a couple of years older, but like, well before his 30s. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like you must be really smart or really good at what you do. So anyway, I think he texts me the next day. I'm at work because I was working full time, going to grad school full time, just like doing all the things and at the same time doing nothing. But he texts me and he was saying, oh, well, when do you want to get together? And I was like, well, maybe we can go to dinner, grab a bite to eat or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, you can come over here and maybe we can hang out at the pool and, we can watch. I don't even think Netflix was a thing. We can watch some movies or something. Mm-hmm. And now, if y'all have been listening long enough, that's not on brand for me to like be going to somebody's house and to not be, to not just be courted properly. That doesn't work for me. And I said, well, that's not something that I'm interested in doing. I was like, I have a pool over here in my apartment. It's like, I'm fine. I'm not really trying to do that.
Yeah, because usually like coming over to watch a movie is like code for, what we would call now Netflix and chill,
Right. And I'm like, ew, I don't even know you like that, dude. And I'm absolutely not, going over to do that. So then I'm like, well, why don't we go to dinner or something? And he's like, well, I've been going on a lot of dates lately and I went on one date and the girl stole my wallet. And I'm like, why is he telling me this? Also, he sounds like a loser. Because why are people stealing his wallet or whatever? So he was like, so if we go out, I just want you to know that I'd be only paying for my food, my stuff, and you'd be paying for yours.
Oh,
and
God.
so I was like, me, pay my way on a date? I put LOL, LOL. I said, yeah, I think we're better off as friends or whatever. And me, I'm like, I've always been good on friends. So I'm like, friend for me is code word, like, don't ever talk to me again. So, so I'm like, talking to my girlfriends, I'm like, yeah, okay, he was a dud. Like another one bites the dust, whatever. So I'm at work the next day and he's like texting me like, hey, when do you want to hang out? When do you want to come over? And again, I can't be baited into conversation with people like ever. Mm-hmm. And so I just ignore him. I don't respond. And he sends me another text message. That day, I don't respond to that one either. The next day I'm at work. And he sends me a text message saying, hey, when are you going to let me F-U-C-K? And I was like, okay, this is where I draw the line with that. So, I still don't respond to him. I call my mom and I'm like, hey, I just want to tell you the interaction that I had. I met this guy, it didn't go anywhere. I put a pin in it, like I deaded it. It was nothing. I talked to him on the phone for 45 minutes and then it was brief conversation through text messages, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, my mom's always been one of those people like, I ride for my daughter. She's always been also one of those parents that will confront somebody else's parents, like at the school and be like, hey, I just want to let you know your child's messing with my kid and I fight people's kids. So get your child in check because I don't mind taking it there with your child and you outline all of y'all up. And,
Right.
Yeah, I'm like the calmest person amongst like the matriarch in my family, which says a lot because I can get a little rowdy. So she ends up calling the guy and was like, hey, I know that you talked to my daughter. She's not interested. She told you that she's not interested in you. Don't contact her again. The stuff that you're saying is not okay. So he's like, oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I thought she was interested and yada, yada, yada. Okay. Have a blessed day. She was like, okay, bye. Then he texts me again. I think this is,
my God.
I had class that evening and he had texted me and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you weren't interested. Have a blessed day. So I'm like, calling him. I'm like, girl, he's still at it. So then my mom calls him. At this point, she's now talking through her teeth. And she's like, didn't I tell you to leave my daughter? Didn't I tell you to leave this child alone? Like you gonna make me call them boys to come handle you.
Right.
So my mom calls me after, I call her after class because I had to go to class in downtown. So it took me a while. I was taking Marta back to my car because who wants to park downtown? Parking is awful. Mm-hmm. So when I get in my car to drive to my apartment, my mom's telling me what happened. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, that's so crazy. Then when I get home, I'm talking to one of my good girlfriends about what happened. I was like, yeah, this guy was so weird. My mom had to get involved, this, that, or whatever. So I'm talking to her on the phone and I get a text message and someone's like, hey, is this Shiri? And I'm like, what in the world? That's weird. Then I get another text message. Then I get another text message. And I think I've told you before, JoJo, I'm very intuitive. And I just start getting text messages after text message from phone numbers I don't know. I told my friend, I said, girl,
different numbers?
Different phone numbers. Also, like it's starting to have like phone calls like coming through. And so I like beeping to like answer. And I said, girl, let me call you back. I said, I think this fool put my number on Craigslist. And so at this point, my phone, it can't even vibrate properly because it's going crazy. I can't do anything on my phone because it's completely inundated. I'm inundated with text messages, cell phone calls.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of people like, is this Shiri? Is this Shiri? It's people sending dingaling pics. It's people calling me to the point where I'm trying to call my mom. I can't even dial out because my phone is just completely like going crazy. So I think what I did, I opened up my laptop and I had to call her from like a Google number or something because, you had to have a Google number in your 20s when you were going out to the club. You had to, because you can't just be giving everybody your phone number because look at crazy shit like this. So I call my mom, and also at this point, my mom's not even living in Georgia anymore. She's living in Tennessee. So I call her, I'm crying. I'm like, I can't even call you. She's like, well, what number are you calling from? I was like, I'm calling you from my club number. And so she's like, okay. And she's like, well, call 911. I was like, I can't call 911. My mom had to call 911 from a completely different state because I couldn't even call out on my phone.
Oh my God.
I have received over 400 text messages, endless amount of phone calls. My mom calls the police. In the meantime, she also calls my dad, he lives one county over. The police come to my house. They're in there getting a statement from me saying whatever. And then I also, while the police are coming over, I go on Craigslist and I find the post because I'm like, well, maybe I can just look up my name or something. He put my name on there. There was a picture of a half-dressed girl that was not even me because I hadn't sent him any pictures of myself.
Yeah.
A half-dressed girl saying, hey, I'm Shiri. I'm looking for fun. Must be, whatever they used to say, like 420 friendly, disease-free, blah, 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 indicating that this woman also wanted to engage in like unprotected fun. Right. The craziest part, JoJo, is I was getting, and then it said, no uglies allowed, send your name and your picture. JoJo, it was people sending me text messages that I knew. I had known from around the way or whatever. And I was like, damn, are people really this desperate? Also, the way that my name is spelled, like, you're only going to find me, this Black girl, or you're going to find women that live in like Jerusalem, Israel, because it's a Hebrew name. So it's not, the spelling of my name is not common at all. So it's like, either y'all are just, you thinking you clearly so dickhead minded that you can't even think with your head like, hey, I've seen this name before. Could this be the Shiri that I've come across? No, they don't care because it's late at night and they just trying to, blow off some steam or shoot a geyser.
Well, and even if they do suspect that maybe it's you, clearly, if they think you made that post, then,
they're like, this is my shot.
Right.
I didn't know she got down like that, but yeah. So it's a whole thing. The police are there. Then the door, I don't know how the door was open. Maybe it was cracked. In walks my dad and my 3 brothers. They're not saying anything. The 2 police officers were like, okay, now, gentlemen, please don't go looking for this man. Because they just walk in and they're all like ready to go. My youngest brother is like 6'3", 6'4". My oldest brother, I don't even know if he's even allowed to vote because he has just that kind of record, so he's ready for that action. He's like, oh, this is what I live for. These are the moments I live for.
He's about that life.
He's about that life. So anywho, it goes on to be this whole thing. I lived in a county where my dad actually worked for the DA's office. So it kind of like fast tracked everything with the perpetrator. I don't know, the weird guy, the harasser. A detective got involved. They ended up running his stuff. This individual did not work for GBI, obviously. He had actually been unemployed for quite a long time. He was living with his sister, he was a freeloader. Also, when they ran his stuff, he had charges in a county over for some stuff for false imprisonment. So he was holding women captive as well.
Oh, God.
So,
oh my God.
Yes, this is something that I could not have thought would happen. I could not have made up at all. So, he asked me, did I want to press charges? I said, well, absolutely, because I just don't know what he could be capable of next.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like my parents and the detective really took a hold of it. And the detective was like, well, no, this can't go any further. I'm pulling out everything to see what charges are going to stick to him. And it was a whole thing. He ended up having to serve some days in incarceration. He also got a felony charge and he was on probation. A restraining order was also issued so that he could not come close to me at all. After he served time in that county, he also had to go to the county next door and be tried for those other charges as well.
Yeah.
So it was so crazy, JoJo, because like going through something that intense, like so young in my life, completely like rewired how I saw the world, because it's like, a simple things, but no things that I gave to this guy. It really felt like it was a safety hazard. And I feel like even though I was in my 20s, it made me grow up like super, super fast and learn how to like navigate the court system, which is something that, you should be privy to, like the fundamentals, but I didn't know about any of this stuff. And have to deal with the psychological fallout of someone trying to weaponize me choosing peace of mine just because, their pride was hurt. And his ego was so fragile that, how sad of an individual do you have to be to go and do something like that? And also, my cell number, I had to change my cell number because I was getting so many calls. And, I had that cell number forever. That was my phone number. Some people have just now gotten the memo like, oh, girl, that's not your number. And there's a whole like thing, my area code was 404. I was like, I'm a 404 girly. I'm not a 770 girl. Like, those are people that are not originally from, Atlanta or whoever is getting these new numbers. Like, I know that sounds so crazy, but I'm like, I want to get my 404 number.
Well, yeah.
But it just, it made me, it made me not be able to be as trusting. It also gave me the realization that it didn't matter whether, as one of my homeboys was saying, whether I'm too loud or if I'm doing something very common. A man that wants to harass a woman is going to harass a woman. A man that wants to endanger a woman is going to endanger a woman. And in that moment, that changed everything for me, where, things where I could just be free and be friendly. I was no longer able to do that anymore because they felt rejected. Instead of them just saying, okay, I wish you well. This is somebody that, we're not in alignment, chose to do something that could have been extremely harmful for me because, just like these people were going on Craigslist, they also could have maybe Googled the name and Googled, my name plus whatever and found my address or kicked in my door. Because if these men were that hot and horny over a Craigslist, I don't put anything past anyone. And especially after having this experience, you can't.
Right. Absolutely. And it could have escalated even further than that if you didn't take action,
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the woman who she was upset because somebody outbid her on this house that she wanted? So she was doing all this crazy stuff to try to get the woman who did buy the house to move out. And so she did the same. She put that woman on Craigslist saying that she had a rape fantasy.
Oh my God.
To come to the house, and even if I say no, like, this is what I want you to do.
Oh.
And someone showed up, but it didn't happen.
Oh my God.
Because the woman got away. But like, people are fucking crazy.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting. And just people need to get help. They're, working through rejection, really and truly, because that lady is crazy as hell, where, and it's, I understand homes, it's an emotional purchase, but it's not for you. If somebody outbid you, it's not for you. And whatever is for you is going to be for you. But now nothing's going to be for you because now you got to go serve time, Miss Ma'am.
Exactly. And that, just like with this guy, because, and this is something I've never understood. Like, okay, when it got to the point where your mother called him.
Right.
It could have ended right then and there, and he could have, his pride would have been a little bruised, but he would have never had to face you. He never would have had any other kind of repercussions, but he took it there.
Right.
And it's just crazy.
It is crazy. It's like, was that not embarrassing enough that this woman's mom is calling you and she's privy to you, like sending a message like, hey, when you gonna let me F-U-C-K? Like, I would have been mortified if somebody's mother saw that. I'd be like, oh no, I don't want to talk to you ever again. Even if we were like dating or something, I'd be like, no, you let your mama see it. No, I can't talk to you no more. Your mama didn't see the way I talk to you. No.
Exactly. Oh my God, Shiri. Well, first of all, I'm so glad that it didn't go any further than that. Me too. I mean, that's bad enough, but I didn't know if you were gonna say that he showed up at your house or what. So,
and see, the thing is, had I never gotten the police involved, and who knows if he would have, right? Because he already had those other charges of false imprisonment or holding people against their own will. So it's like,
And thank God you never went over that first in the beginning about going to watch a movie. Oh my God. I mean, just, you don't know what could have happened.
You don't know. But we see what he was capable of, and even what he did with me and how he handled that other individual. Like, that's enough.
Right. Yeah. Ugh. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, that's insane. It is.
Yeah.
It's so scary being a woman, I mean, and there are things that happen to men. I do not take anything away from men. Have definitely things that have happened to them and things that they have to deal with and struggle with. But being a woman, it's like you're already at a disadvantage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, it's fun being a woman, but it's dangerous as hell. Like,
yes. Right. Yeah.
Because if you speak, if you say hello, if you speak, then they're going to be like, oh, well, then gives me the go ahead to come on to her. But then if you don't speak, then they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to kill you. So either way it goes, like, will I get killed today? Will I get hurt? Will I be SA'd? Like, if you speak, it might happen. If you don't speak, it might happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And something that I was, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but not yet. But while you were telling your story, I couldn't help think that the same word, because you know how we do the word of the month.
Mm-hmm.
That, because obviously I know my story,
Yeah.
I already kind of had a word in mind as far as what would fit my story.
Mm-hmm.
But, and even though your story and my story are very, very different,
Yeah.
I can't help but think that the word is so fitting for both of us. So I'm very curious to see if by the end you are thinking of the same word. So we will see what happens there at the end. But yeah, that's really crazy. And something that I find kind of interesting is that, your story starts with someone that you met in a grocery store, just kind of randomly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And mine starts with someone I've known my entire life.
Goodness.
And right. And looking back for mine, there wasn't just one like big giant moment that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was dozens of moments. Some were obvious, some I did not even realize until many years later, but they all eventually led me right to the same place.
Yeah.
And I recently shared most of the story on the Mindshift Power Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But because of time, there were some details that I had to leave out. And honestly, some of those details really matter because they explain why going no contact with my brother wasn't, some dramatic decision that I made on a whim. It wasn't like we just had this like one crazy argument and I'm like, I'm never speaking to you again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, first, let me just put a pause right there.
Yes.
I really applaud you, JoJo, for just making yourself so vulnerable to share that moment with so many of us. Because a lot of people, only want to share their sunny sides of their life and not the dark things and the things that should have never happened to them because you didn't have any control over what happened to you. And, my heart breaks, my heart aches that you had to experience those things. And, my heart aches to any individual, any woman, any man, a child for sure, that is hurt and their ability to have agency over themselves is stripped from them. And, I applaud you for sharing your story because it has been impactful and it will continue to impact the people that it needs to impact. And you just using your voice is going to allow so many other individuals to use their voice too. So I thank you so much for being vulnerable and being open to sharing your story with all of us.
Oh, thank you so much. And that really, really does mean a lot to me. That was actually the first time I had ever spoken publicly about it. And so it was very cathartic.
Yeah.
And of course, I think everyone who shares something like that about themselves, the hope is that someone else will hear it and feel, like, okay, they're not going through something alone, or they're not the only one who has ever felt this way. And, that can really, there's power in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I will put the link to the interview on the Mindshift Power podcast in the show notes for anyone that would like to listen to that first if they haven't already heard it. Basically, I'm just going to recap different, at times what I've already talked about on that episode so that I can focus more on the parts that I had to leave out on this episode here. So just kind of like a really, simple recap. I have two older brothers, but this is about my brother Jimmy, and he is the brother that I grew up with. When I was growing up, my brother Jimmy is 10 years older than me. So, we were never really that close. I mean, ish, but there was a big age difference there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
right. So, when I got to be about 5, 6, 7 years old, my brother's a teenager and he has his little group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the main group of friends was Noel, Tim, and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were always at the house, all three of them. And one day, they were at the house, and I will spare everyone the actual sentence here, but Noel, of out of the friends, he made a very disgusting sexual comment about me to me, or right in front of me. And even though I didn't really know what it meant at that age, I knew it was something bad. And I did what any 6-year-old would do. I ran and told my mom.
Good.
Yeah. And so I tell my mom exactly what Noel had said. And I will give my brother some credit here. He did not hear it. He wasn't in the room when this was said. But my mom immediately calls Jimmy into the kitchen with us and is like, hey, Noel needs to go. Like,
right.
Get him out of here, and he's no longer welcome here. So my brother says, okay, because they were all getting ready to leave anyway. So they all leave. The next day, my mom and I come in from somewhere, and they're all, including Noel, sitting in the living room.
Oh, hell
Noel's
no.
he's just sitting there like he pays rent, like he lives there.
Go home, Roger. Ew.
Right. So my mom is furious,
right. Good.
And she calls him into the other room and is like, what's going on? Anyway, looking back now, I think that was the first moment I learned something about my brother that I just didn't have like the language for it yet. But that he was never going to stick up for me, ever. And so, time goes on, and during my teenage years, my brother Jimmy, he moves out, he gets married, and he was married, his first wife, her name's Liz. And her and I were so close. I mean, she was the sister I always wanted.
Yeah.
She really went out of her way to like include me. She would pick me up and we would hang out.
Yeah.
I did too. Yeah. I mean, she just really made me feel special and important. And I really cherish, the memories that I have of like palling around with her, as a teenager. So for years, I would look back on that and I would think in my mind, like I had this great relationship with my brother and his wife. But really, it had nothing to do with my brother. It was 100% because of Liz. Like, she was the reason I even felt connected to my brother at all.
Wow.
And when they eventually, down the road, divorced, I didn't just lose a sister-in-law. Like, I really grieved this sister that I had had for many years.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've always stayed cordial and very friendly. But, obviously, divorce changes the dynamic between people over time. But let's, for a moment, we'll talk about my brother's best friend, Chris. And Chris, he'd been around since I was little. I'd kind of grown up looking at him as like another older brother.
Yeah.
And just to sort of recap, when I was 19 years old, I invited him over to my apartment one night. I was having friends over. We were playing cards and drinking. And a little while later that night, I had gone into my room because I would just do that. I would if I had too much to drink, I would be like, hey, I'm going to bed,
Yeah.
And a little while later, someone comes in my room. I assumed it was my boyfriend, and it was not. And it was Chris, and he started to touch me inappropriately. And I, got up and walked out of the room. He followed out and then was, kind of booked it out of there. But I knew that I had to tell my brother the next day. And so I drove almost an hour to his house so that I could talk to him face to face. And I tell him exactly what happened. And, he really didn't have much of a response or a reaction, just other than, well, I'll talk to him about it. So he does Chris denies what he did, but then later on he admits it. But you know, when he finally admitted it was like really wrapped in excuses of like, oh, I was so drunk and I this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy was like, okay, just like accepted that. And, you know, I guess that was just sort of where things got left at that moment, because Chris wasn't someone I saw on a day-to-day basis, you know, so really just nothing happened from there. And then a few months later, Jimmy and Liz, that was when they separated. And Jimmy needed a place to stay. And so he's my brother. I gave him my living room. I didn't charge him rent. I didn't charge him any money at all for anything. In fact, I gave him money.
Wow.
Like, I would literally go to his bank on my breaks from work and deposit money into his bank account to cover bad checks that he had written. I helped with his kids. I babysat. I ran errands. Whatever he needed, because that's what siblings do, right? Like, I got you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're going through something. I got you.
Yeah.
And eventually, no, it was a 1-bedroom apartment. It was tiny, and it, you know, so I knew it wasn't like a permanent thing by any means. So he eventually moved out, but he moved in with Chris. And it was Chris and Chris's sister. And so after he had moved out, he arranges one night, basically for Chris to apologize to me in person. And I accepted it. I guess I just really wanted to believe that it had just been this terrible drunken mistake.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I found out later that that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Months later, they had a party at their house, and I had been drinking heavily. Chris took my keys and wouldn't let me drive home, which, to be fair, I should not have driven home.
Yeah.
But I just knew, you know, intuition is, there's something there, you know?
Oh, yes.
And yeah, and I knew that, like, the wheels were turning in his head or something that was not right. And while the party was still going, I went upstairs to this extra room that they had that just had like a big couch in it. And I thought no one had seen me go up there, and I would just kind of, you know, hide up there and sleep.
Yeah.
And I wake up in the morning, and Chris was on the floor beside me, and my clothes had been moved, and intercourse had taken place.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I, you know, basically jumped up, ran out of there, ran downstairs. I, you know, tore the place apart looking for my keys.
Yeah.
And got home and stood in the shower for probably 3 hours. I don't know. And
yeah.
And the thing is that, yeah, there were a lot of things going through my mind. Like, I was confused. I was mad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just kept thinking about, well, what is Jimmy going to do now? Because, you know, he just moved out of my apartment. He's struggling financially. He's got 2 kids. He's going through a divorce. And he just moved in with this guy who's his best friend, and his best friend just raped his sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm, you know, I feel bad. I feel really bad. And so when I finally get to talk to him, it was maybe the next day, I think, and he didn't even let me get it all out. I think once he kind of saw where I was going with it, he stopped me and he said, "I don't believe you."
Oh,
and
God.
And if this happened, if it did, it's your fault for putting yourself in that position. And yeah, what do you say to that?
Right, because I'm here speechless, you know, because that's just, it's so heartbreaking, you know, and you always think of your brother to be your protector, especially your big brother, right?
Right.
You know, to be your protector,
Yeah.
like nothing's I'm not ever gonna allow anything to happen to my sister, and you know, I've got you, and you know,
Right. Right.
Oh
Absolutely.
God.
And I think that in that moment, something just like broke permanently inside of me. And it wasn't even because of Chris. I mean, don't get me wrong, my life was definitely affected by Chris very much.
For sure.
But that part that really, really hurt was because of Jimmy.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the end of that conversation there. So some odd years later, you know, by this time I've moved away, I've moved to Florida, I've gotten married, and I came home to visit, and my brother pulls me aside and he apologizes to me about that situation, but not because all of a sudden he, you know, realized all the error of his ways. Because several women that were in the National Guard, because they were both in the National Guard, had come forward with similar allegations against Chris. So now he believed me. And, you know, I remember thinking, like, why did strangers need to validate my trauma before my own brother would, you know?
Right.
But I still accepted the apology because I never even thought I was going to get that, you know? So in a way, it was at least like a little bit of closure.
Okay.
So less than a year later, my husband and I drive 12 hours back up from Florida to Pennsylvania, so that I could go to my brother's second wife. He was getting married to his second wife. So we could go to the wedding. And at the time, I'm pregnant with my son. And so we get there, and I walk into the rehearsal dinner, and to my horror, Chris was the best man.
That's fucking crazy.
Right.
That's
right. And so that apology that I had gotten, just all of a sudden, it was null and void. It died right there in a rented tuxedo. Like,
yeah.
So now, just for a minute, we have to talk about my brother's second wife. Her name's Christy. If I had to describe her in only one word, it would be like, ugh.
Oh, wow. Her name, you would describe her as a sound effect.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yes. Just, No, I'm going to be fair here, okay? People have assumed at times that I didn't like her because I loved Liz, and that wasn't the reason. People assumed that I didn't like her because of her appearance, and that wasn't it either. The problem with Christy was that she had all the warmth and personality of an unplugged refrigerator.
Oh, God. And he was like, her, that's the one.
Yes. So like literally, I swear to God, I would say hello, nothing. You could give her a Christmas gift, a birthday gift. She would open it, stare at it, close the box, set it down, and continue on her day.
Oh,
not
my
a thank
gosh.
you. Not a that's nice. Not even a fuck you.
She's a monster.
Right. And I mean, at this point, I would have been thrilled with just like a grunt, like a simple
Something,
grunt.
yeah. I hated anything. Do you have the receipt? Anything.
Yes, anything. And like, you know, this was not like a one-time thing. Like, so it wasn't like social anxiety or being shy around a new family. This was 20 years of the exact same behavior. So,
girl.
Every holiday felt like we were just gathering around like two old throw pillows named Jimmy and Christy. Like, unfortunately, too, that etiquette trickled down to their kids.
Stop it. They sound like a joy to be around. Like,
oh my God, you have no idea.
Right. Like, are they coming? I hope they're coming. If they're not coming, I'm not coming.
That's exactly.
Oh my God.
It was torture. Every get together was torture. And like, I love my nieces, but you know, manners were not their strong suit. And like, okay, when I was growing up, like, and my brother is the same way. I would have never dreamed of calling my aunts or uncles by their first names.
No.
But my nieces call me Joanne.
That's literally crazy. Now I can understand if y'all were like, 10 years apart, if y'all grew up as siblings, then, that's
Right.
something a little bit different. Now, some
Right.
places, sometimes in the country, you might call people by, and Michael Jackson called his daddy Joe, but that's different. We're not talking about the king of pop. We talking about, people in Pennsylvania. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, they literally like talk to me like I was their accountant.
Oh my God. And they're like, you better be happy we even call you by name.
Right.
Girl.
Like when my mom would stop over there to visit when they were little, the first things out of their mouths were, "What did you bring me?"
Ah! Oh my
I
God.
know. Can you believe that? Like,
Sparkling
the cringe.
personalities.
Yes. So, okay, so now you've got the picture of the players here, right?
Yeah, crystal clear, yeah.
Well, now the next couple things that happened really made it impossible to ignore that for some reason my brother clearly has an animosity towards me. And so while I'm living in Florida, one day Jimmy calls me, and this was during the time that Christy was pregnant with their middle daughter. And she calls me to tell me that Christy had suggested using my name as their daughter's middle name. And yes, I was shocked. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you don't even speak to me.
Right. Like, this is the same woman that treats me like I personally canceled Christmas and I swing by and key her car every Tuesday.
Which she might deserve. So you really have been, extending her grace.
Exactly. But it doesn't even matter because he immediately follows it up with, "So I shut that down immediately."
What he even tell you?
Right. So you called me to tell me that your wife suggested my name as the middle name for your daughter, and you just wanted me to know that you nixed that immediately. Thanks.
Yeah, that's toxic behavior.
Exactly,
that's
right?
That's toxic, yeah.
So, but I'm like, whatever. I don't even remember. I guess I just kind of laughed it off, like, whatever. And then, so now that was bad enough. This one, it gets worse. So they get pregnant with their third daughter, their youngest daughter. And after she's born, my brother calls me. I'm still living in Florida. And he calls me and he asks me if I would be their youngest daughter's godmother. And to be honest, I was thrilled and I was honored. And I said yes immediately. And so I get all the information of, when the christening is, and I make arrangements and plans to travel up there. And so I do. I drive all the way from Florida to Maryland and Pennsylvania for the christening. And I'm at the ceremony, and I've never actually been to a christening before, so I wasn't really sure like how this happens or what happens. So I just figured, okay, I'll be sitting here and like someone will let me know like when I'm supposed to do anything. And so I'm sitting there in the congregation or whatever, and the next thing I know, about halfway through or whatever, the pastor starts talking about godparents, and Christy's sister and her husband are standing up there, and they're the godparents.
Oh my God!
Yes. And I was just sitting there in the congregation, like learning this information in real time.
Oh my God. Ugh. Girl, do you want me to fight him? Because I'm really sick of his shit. Like, really. Do you want me to fight him? Yes or no, JoJo? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Done. Say no more. Say no more, baby girl. I got you. Oh my gosh.
But, right? I mean, like, this is crazy, right?
Mm.
And so, I go home, whatever. Now, some odd years later, my life, I get to this point in my life that I consider the worst years of my life, when my life just completely, it fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already gotten divorced from my son's father. I'd moved back up home, to Pennsylvania. I got remarried. We got pregnant, and our daughter was born stillborn.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And I mean, it was the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
And not too long after that, our marriage ended. So now I was getting divorced for the second time, and my business failed because my mental state was just not doing well.
Yeah.
And my first ex-husband, my son's father, was spreading rumors to like my son's teachers and his doctors that I was a heroin addict. Yeah, he was just trying to discredit me in every possible way that he could think of.
To say heroin, like, that's
right.
You could have chosen some other. That's why I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, his reason was because, now mind you, he lives in Oklahoma and I live in Pennsylvania, and we hadn't even seen each other in probably like 6 years until we actually saw each other one time when we were meeting to, for our son.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because from that meeting that he said that I was scrawny, and that so for that reason I must have been a heroin addict. That's
not crack, not cocaine, where you're getting shit done, not cocaine, but heroin, or what they said in the 60s, heroin. Like, what? Excuse me? What?
I mean, logic was never on the table, like it was anything to make me look bad, And so, I'm dealing with that, with like him actually literally affecting my son's doctors and, the school and everything. And then right after, in the midst of all this, my very best friend, Nicole, of 20 years, suddenly dies. And I mean, I was just drowning emotionally, mentally.
That's a lot. That's too much.
Yeah, it was too much. And
honestly, JoJo, it's really amazing that I'm not even like talking to you on a prepaid call. With you being behind the wall somewhere, because that's enough to make somebody snap. What is this? We're in episode 3, so you already got at least a 3-part series on Snap. You're going for
true.
A Netflix doc in a little while.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like this is stuff that, like, yeah, you could probably make up like one of these stories here and there, but the whole thing together, like, you can't make this stuff up, And so, but like, so that period of time that I say was like the worst time of my life, my brother, Jimmy, who lives 15 minutes away from me, never checked on me once. Never even like called and was just like, hey, how are you doing? I'm really sorry that your daughter died. I'm really sorry that Nicole died. Like nothing, right? So then Christy starts adding fuel to the fire. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, so I don't know why or if she just did this for kicks, but she convinces Jimmy that I bully him and that he shouldn't take it anymore.
What is wrong with? I'm sick of them. I am sick of them.
I know.
Girl.
Like, that is the most fascinating conclusion anyone has ever reached.
Just crazy.
Like, this is the same man who defended the guy who assaulted me, made that guy his best man, and I'm the bully?
That's abusive behavior.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, Christy, she planted that idea. She encouraged it. She watered it daily like a house plant. And it was just one more example of a pattern that now I was starting to really, really recognize, that no matter what happened, somehow I was always going to be the villain. So, my life is collapsing around me. I was in the darkest place I'd ever been in my entire life. And rather than acknowledge all of the things that have happened in these recent years of my life, Jimmy and our mom, they get together and they wonder if maybe I do have a drug problem. And, yeah. So, and their reasoning, now I guess they had a few reasons. The main reasons that I can recall was that because I was always tired and I no longer, I didn't dress up and wear makeup anymore. And I wasn't like my normal bouncy, bubbly self that I had always been. It almost sounds like depression.
I mean, I'm like, do they understand the blow after blow after blow that you have received?
Right. And I truly, truly do not blame my mom at all. I really don't. Because my anger here comes to my brother, because apparently that was all it took for Jimmy to care. Like all these things that had happened, that wasn't enough for him to care. But when all of a sudden the words drug problem come up, well, now he's interested. Now he's concerned. Because this was for me the thing that changed everything, because I finally realized he didn't care that if I was suffering. He cared that there might be something going on with me that made me look bad, or like I was doing something wrong. And so they called me to come over. And I call it the smallest, saddest intervention in the world, because it was just them two. And I'm sitting and I'm like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm this and that, And but yeah, so once I realized that this was what was happening, that was the thing that changed everything for me. And there was something that the host of the Mindshift Power podcast said that really has stuck with me. So shout out to Fatima, by the way.
Yes.
Which she was great, wasn't she?
Yes.
She was awesome. She said that a moment is just a manifestation of what's already been there. And I love that. That really got me thinking, because when people are looking at things from the outside in, like especially other family members, they usually only see what the last straw was and think it's the whole story. Meanwhile, there were years and years of hurtful things that led to this. So, for me, going no contact wasn't revenge. It wasn't punishment. It was survival.
Yep.
In some families, everyone is perfectly happy as long as one person keeps absorbing the damage. But the second that person says no more, well, suddenly they're the problem. And I think the biggest lesson that I have learned is boundaries don't destroy healthy families. They expose unhealthy ones.
Yes.
Yes, right? And I didn't lose a brother when I went no contact. I just finally stopped sacrificing myself to maintain the illusion that I ever had one.
Wow. Oh, deep.
But it's true,
I mean, sadly, it is true. And it's sad. It's sad. Really and truly.
Right. Now, I'm very curious now that you've heard my story. What would you pick as the word of the month for both of our stories? Because I think I have the perfect word.
Well, honestly, I was hoping that you weren't going to ask me, because I have been left speechless after, it takes a lot for me to not have something to say, to not have a rebuttal. And I'm like, shit, like, I mean, this is oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know, it's a lot, and it's a lot to even react to, to hear that story and to formulate your thoughts, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I believe me, I completely understand, because it was even hard for me in real time, to really grasp like the fact that another human, someone that I'm related to,
yeah,
and is supposed to love me and supposed to feel some semblance of protection.
right. He's supposed to be one of your protectors. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And if anything, he's not. He's the opposite.
He's a pacifier for sure, but
Right.
not for you in any kind of way. You know?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll tell you what I think the word of the month is.
Okay.
Audacity.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For both of our stories, right? It's perfect.
Yeah.
It is absolutely perfect.
And it's completely unwarranted. Like you don't even meet the prerequisites to be acting like this, And it's just
right.
I really am
Exactly.
disgusted. I mean, I really am disgusted with today's episode. I mean, it was necessary,
Yeah.
but it just, I will have to take a nap after this because it just is so much. And, we are just two ladies sharing two stories. You've had many stories, but this is two ladies sharing two stories.
Yeah.
And this is just a portion of our lives because we have other stories that we can tell.
Yeah.
I have stories that I have not shared with others. And we are just two ladies on this planet where there are so many other women that have had stories similar to this or even more.
Yeah.
And that is so exhausting to think about.
Yes, it is. It's scary. It's sad. It's depleting.
Yes.
It really is.
And it's even more so exhausting for me because I have a daughter and it's like, okay, well, what kind of stories will she have? What is she going to be packing her knapsack with, her proverbial knapsack with?
Right. Yeah.
What are the things that I'm not going to be able to protect her from? As a child, of course, but as an adult, like what are the things that are going to happen with her that I will not be able to shield her from?
Right.
And that I think is hitting me now. And I'm tearing up a little bit because it's just like, I don't, none of us want this for our children. Your mom, didn't want this for you.
Right.
Some of the things that I've experienced, people have not wanted those things for me. And it's like, what do we do?
Right.
What do we do?
I don't know. And I know I wish I had an answer,
A legal answer, because we know what we can,
Right.
It's like,
That's true. That's true. I think, at least for right now, the thing that we can do is show our children and others that we're not going to take it sitting down. We're not going to take it quietly.
Yeah.
We're not just going to lay there and let you steamroll us.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And I think, how there are those types of people that they're all bark and no bite. Like they will talk a big game about how they'll kick your ass and do this and that because the whole point is that they don't even want you to step to them because they will crumble. I kind of feel like if we as women, together start kind of letting it be known and show that we don't back down, then these types of men that do these types of things will maybe think twice and be like, you know what, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here by, thinking that I can get away with this.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say, there's not a lot of things I applaud Gen Z for, but I do applaud Gen Z for they will air some shit out. They will air people out. They will air out sketchy family members. They will air out, these politicians. They will say and do whatever. If they feel like it's not right now, they're not gonna have a skill set to be employable but they're gonna call out some stuff that is morally unjust. You know what I mean? They're gonna TikTok dance, and then on TikTok they're gonna tell you that you're a piece of shit if you're an actual piece of shit. Now other stuff, they may not. They're gonna eat Tide Pods. But they gonna hold you accountable.
Oh my God, Shiri, I love you.
Because I'm telling the truth. Like y'all some fucking weirdos, but y'all moral compass is on it.
It's true. It is true. Now, I think that this is probably a whole nother episode, but sometimes they can go a little bit far with it as like being way too sensitive, you know, like they get their feelings hurt over every little thing.
Yeah, I mean, no, they're weird. They're weird, but at the same time, you know, we were also hardened because we were riding in the back of pickup trucks while somebody's driving 60 miles per hour, and we're like, oh, I want to sit on the hump. Why are we? That should have not been a thing. It's like, oh yeah, I want to sit on the hump while we're riding, and you can't see shit because your ponytail, all your hair out of your ponytail is flowing in front of your face. And those were the best moments of our lives when we got to ride the back of a pickup truck. That's crazy.
Oh my God, Shiri, that's so funny. It's so true, though.
It's so true. We'd be
so
like,
true.
this is good living. And we'd just be riding down with our friends, and it wouldn't even be one of our parents. It'd be somebody else's parent.
Yeah. I can remember like being a kid and like, you know, being out in the woods with friends or whatever, eating berries, like not even questioning what they were.
Nothing. Anything could happen. I remember being at summer camp and the swim test, like you had to tread water for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I was fighting for my fucking life. But I was like, I gotta pass this test. I passed it. And I'm still here to tell the story. Because I'm like, now when y'all say tread water,
oh my God.
It was a dangerous time to be alive. Really.
It really was. But only you and I could end an episode about these topics laughing hysterically.
Yeah. Everybody else would be like, I'm calling my therapist right now.
Yeah.
I need an emergency session.
Oh my God. Well, you know what I find really interesting?
What's that?
Is when people hear stories like ours, they often assume that the thing that changed everything was the obvious event, you know, like the restraining order, the assault, the betrayal. But looking back, I don't think that that's always true.
Because, you know, sometimes it's the realization of it all.
Right. The moment where you finally see a person, a relationship, or a situation for what it actually is, not what you hoped it was or what you wished it was, what it really is.
Yeah, because, you know, once you see it, you can't unsee that stuff.
Nope.
And whether that realization leads you towards your healing, you know, setting new boundaries, your freedom, or a completely different life, that's usually where everything does change.
And now we want to hear from our troublemakers. That's you guys. What was the thing that changed everything for you? Was it a person, a decision, a phone call, a chance encounter, or a moment you never even saw coming?
We want y'all to head on over to the after party and tell us your story.
Yes, and if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're following the show. Leave a review and share it with someone who might need it.
Until next time, whatever you do, wherever you go,
make sure you cause a little trouble.
The breakups that built our voice, the jobs we left, the almost choice, the days that felt like wasted time that turned into the perfect line. We don't rush the lesson anymore. We let the silence speak some more. Every scar a secret door. Opening this, that.
I think this is going to be one of the few episodes where we don't really need to ask each other if we would do it again.
No, girl. Hell no. Let's just end with the I'm glad we lived to tell the tale.
Yes, love that.